let's introduce you to the community.
Sure. So, hey everyone. Good evening, good morning, depending on where you are. Um, I have about a little over a decade of experience in the security space. As most of the security guys, I started on the network side of things. So I was working in network security when I started. And over the last 5 or 6 years, I've been a part of security research at different designations in Qualys as well as CrowdStrike. So we used to work on a bunch of stuff, creating detections for networks, containers, operating systems, and the likes of it. So, as you may understand, automotive hacking or automotive security was never really my day job, but it's a very interesting story on how I landed in this area and how did I discover this. So it's gonna be fun, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I think part of what I got away from it is for you to carry this out required a certain level of skill, and AI is changing that whole landscape. For folks who haven't gone and checked out Vishal's blog, you're going to see stuff like this. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it, but vulnerability one: internal credentials leaked in clear text. When you go to check out the site, you can see this in up close and personal, but SFDC username, SFDC password. I can't even imagine your reaction when you saw this kind of stuff. Vulnerability
Yeah.
two, owner's personal details exposed via VIN. Vulnerability three, vehicle service history accessible via VIN. Let me pull this all down because I want to see your face here. Let's talk through the story. The story itself is quite entertaining. Like, what made
Yeah.
you even want to, go down this path?
Right. So I think I was going to buy my first car. I settled for a pre-owned Volkswagen. So I went to the dealer, paid off, got the car. As I'm driving home, I thought, okay, it will be fun since it's a newer model. It will be fun to like connect on the app and look at all the features it has, all the like flashy stuff. So as soon as I reached my driveway, I stopped there. I go ahead, look up. So there was this My Volkswagen app, I think, in India.
Yep.
I installed the app. I register my email, everything. It then gives me an option to add a car. And when I go to that, it tells me enter the VIN of the car. And the VIN is like a very uh, like a common identifier for the vehicle. You can see it through the dashboard in almost every car.
Yeah, it's right there on the windshield. I mean, literally
Yeah,
from outside the car, anybody
yeah,
can view the VIN of any car.
right. And it's almost in all documents, like your insurance and everything. So it's everywhere. It's on your registration.
Yep.
So I enter the VIN and it sends this one-time password on a certain mobile number. Now this mobile number belonged to the previous owner of the car, and I'm wondering, okay, I need access to it, and I need access to it now. So let me call the dealer. uh, I go ahead, call the dealer. So this mobile number was, I think, only 4 digits of it was visible for privacy reasons, I assume. So I did not have like the full contact.
Yeah.
I called this dealer. I asked him, okay, I'm stuck at this point. Maybe give me the owner's contact number or ask them to deregister, whatever. Uh, so they go ahead. They try contacting the owner. He doesn't pick up. Then they end up giving me the number, which in itself is probably a privacy concern.
They gave you the phone number of the old owner.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
fantastic.
I give a call to the owner. He doesn't pick up, and I'm sitting in my car. I have this song playing in the background. I'm just wondering that from a security perspective, or from somebody who has been in cybersecurity and seen how dangerous some of this stuff can get. I'm wondering that why does somebody else have control over my car at this point when I've paid off, got the car, signed everything, got the registration shifted? So while I'm wondering this, I'm just trying some random OTPs. It was like a 4-digit OTP. So I just tried something random to see if it sticks. And of course, it didn't.
But hold on a sec. You're
Yeah.
now you're now like you have the app. In order to
Yes.
do the so you're just typing it into the app itself. You haven't
Yes.
started like discovering anything.
Yes, that's right. Because I was never, I mean, this was never in my mind that I would go ahead and hack this app.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get access to my car. That's about it. Yeah. So, and it was a long day after work. I was anyway tired. So I'm just sitting in my car, some music playing. I type three or four-digit combinations. It doesn't work. But then I start thinking, okay, I've typed like 4 combinations. It has not stopped me yet, or it has not
Yeah,
like maybe give.
there's not
Yeah,
saying you're out of guesses or
yeah,
the count is
yeah,
locked or something.
yeah. Similar to maybe what an iPhone does. It like stops you for some time,
It
right?
makes you wait a minute and then 10 minutes
Yeah,
and then an hour. Yeah.
right. There's no captcha. There's no nothing. So I think that okay, maybe let's try 5 more combinations and see when does it stop me. So so I go ahead, I do that. Now, at this point, I think I entered about 15 different combinations. None of them worked, obviously, but it didn't still stop me. Then I started wondering, okay, this is looking interesting because I haven't come across any application in recent history which has not put a rate limit or not stopped me from retrying uh, inputs, right? So I go upstairs, get go to my workstation, and I've never like I would have probably not touched this area of security for the last 2-3 years when I was doing this, but I was like, okay, maybe let's let's send this through Burp, see if this gets decrypted, if there is any SSL pinning. Um, or if there isn't anything, considering that there's no OTP limit too.
Yeah.
So what I do is I um, like start Burp on my system, get its CA certificate, send it to my iPhone. I install it there so that I can do a man in the middle and I can decrypt traffic. And then I go to this app, I open this up, and surely enough, it did not stop me again. It did not throw an error like, okay, the SSL certificate is not valid or whatever. I think of an OTP which I can easily look at into the burp requests. So I enter something like 4567, and then I'm looking at the burp proxy entries, and I search for this OTP there, and I find a specific request which is sending this in a post request basically with the OTP. Okay, so at this point, I think that I have the session, I have whatever parameters it populated from the win, like the user ID and whatnot. All of this I didn't know, but these were generated from the win. So now I had an idea. What do I need to do? Uh, I write a script. Oh, no, sorry. I didn't write a script yet. I thought that, okay, let's use Burp and let's use one of Burp's functionalities to maybe brute force this OTP
Yeah.
because it's a
Yeah.
4-digit
Repeater
thing.
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. It has about 10,000 combinations. So I was like, yeah, I'll get through it. I started and it's awfully slow because obviously I have the community edition.
Yeah.
It
They
does not
limit
work that
you.
way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, okay. And at my work, I was doing something on the multi-threading side in Python. So I think, okay, maybe this is a good place to use it. I write up a small script which basically creates 100 parallel threads because I knew there was no rate limiting. So nothing was stopping me from doing that. Now, I create the script. It is sending 100 OTPs in parallel. And I
Yeah.
think within 8 or 10 seconds, I get a 200 OK response back. I, I refresh my app and I have the car added in my app, right?
What
And
was
that
that
was great.
feeling like when you saw the 200?
I was like, wow, I didn't expect this to happen, to
It
be
actually
honest.
worked, right?
Yeah. And the other thing was, it was not really. I mean, it was a separate client. The Python script was acting as a separate API client. It was just replay attacks. So I was just replaying the same request with a different OTP. It was not even coming from my phone. So I was really surprised at how did it not detect it,
Yeah.
or stop it for that matter. And then that got me wondering that, okay, um, if we see this miss in the security controls, uh, what else is probably wrong in this application? Because what I realized was it's just a win, as the OTP I can bypass already. So,
Yeah.
and the win is fairly public. I can go out on the street and like read 5 wins through the windshield of any car.
Yeah. Yeah, it's right there.
And I could get access. I could do a full account takeover on the app.
Did you
Anything the
try it
app could do.
on another VW just for the hell of it?
Yeah, so that's where I exercised restraint
Yeah.
from the last 10 years of being here. I was like, okay, maybe I should not like
Yeah.
breach anybody else's privacy. So I just called my friend. I was like, hey, you have a Skoda, right? He said, yeah. Then I was like, I need to try this thing. And he gave me his win. I
Yeah.
tried it out and it
Yeah.
worked. I could like access his Skoda details as well. So this was not just a Volkswagen specific
Yeah.
issue. It spread across like everything in VAG. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, that's unbelievable. And this is basically BOLA, right? Is what you were discovering? These were BOLA vulnerabilities?
so this is the first vulnerability. I would not term it as BOLA. I would say at least the OTP part is broken
Yeah.
authentication.
Broken
Yeah,
off. Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
OWASP
But
number
yeah,
2.
yes. I mean, none of these vulnerabilities, if anybody is expecting that I'm going to tell a James Bond style hacking story about something really complex, none of these were that. They were like things
Yeah.
you see every year on the OWASP list: broken
Sure.
authentication,
Sure.
BOLA, sensitive data exposure, and the likes of it.
Well, I want to bring in a couple of there's some good chat going on here. So this is
Mhm.
from a good friend, Edward. It strikes me whoever designed this app was either lazy or presumptive that one would pry on the app. And I think, my 2 cents is, you know, there's a belief that these APIs are hidden and impossible to find, and who's going to really try? And do I
Yeah,
really need to worry about it? So I think lazy could be part of it. Or look, they're in a rush. They got to get this app live. I'm curious what your take is, but clearly there's also, I think, an awareness issue, right? Like, these aren't hard problems to solve, as you said. This is pretty basic stuff.
yeah. I slightly differ from the perspective because there are a lot other vulnerabilities which were present. So devs are just humans. I mean, there are tight deadlines, there are a lot of things, and sometimes people have this in their tech debt or in their backlog that they'll maybe take this up in another sprint, or something like that. But people miss things. So I would not necessarily blame the devs entirely that, okay, they did not uh, care about anything. I think it just got lost in the workload, or maybe the thought that, okay, in the next iteration they'll fix it. And really, they didn't expect somebody to go to this extent and look into the app. That is for sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
we've seen this for years on the API side, and Pierce makes the
yeah,
point, right? Maybe it's not lazy, just uninformed, right? And this is
yeah,
where,
yeah,
security teams and dev teams, they've always been two different isolated groups, and they don't always talk to each other, right? A dev's focused on releasing code, and look, the app worked, right? It just had a fatal flaw in it. So let's pivot a little bit here to look, what you did doesn't sound that complicated, but I couldn't do it, right? Like you were proxying traffic pinning certs, you were, detecting endpoints, you wrote a script. It's not rocket science, but I'm not doing that, right? So like, how do you think that, like if you were to do it today, or if someone like me wanted to do it today, what would that look like with all this AI stuff?
So before that, I'll just give a quick run through what were the other vulnerabilities.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So the first one was this OTP bypass. As soon as I got in the app, I saw this list of requests without any interaction. So this app was like really chatty. I mean, seemed like it was high on caffeine or something. So there were too many requests going on, and I picked up on one of these requests. It was to a certain endpoint, which used to respond back with your UAT, prod, third party API, all these credentials and tokens in clear text. Obviously, I mean, it was not in clear text considering it was under a TLS layer, but you get the point. And that is something which is a big no no, which should never happen. Your secrets do not belong on your mobile app, they belong on the server side of things.
Oh man, I'm gonna quote that. Yours, yeah. I think that's one of the most common things, and I'm sure we're gonna talk to Pierce about that. But please continue.
Yeah. So this was one thing. Then I found another GET request, which was going to a service contract endpoint, which had massive amounts of data about any customer. Basically, when did they go for their service repairs? What are the problems in their cars? What is their address? What is their educational qualification? I don't know why, but that was a field.
No kidding.
Yeah, their identity numbers,
Yeah,
address, phone numbers, everything.
your blog. I mean, I remember going through it. It's just pages of fields
Yeah,
of stuff that was accessible to you.
right. And I mean, then there was a section for telematics, which had a certain user ID. But think of this user ID as a 5-digit number. So based on my security instincts, I assumed that it is going to be a sequential thing because it was no UUID, nothing. It was just a 5-digit number.
Yeah.
So what I did was I just started incrementing it by one, and sure enough, I could get telematics for any of these users.
Yeah,
So
incredible.
yeah, and that would include your location. I don't know, everything, the way you drive. It's insane how much data there was.
Yeah, no, remarkable. Man,
Yeah.
we're gonna run out of time here, Vishal, because there's so much to go. I want to ask the audience a question. So, hey, can you all take a look here? So, I wanted to put this poll out there and get a feel, because there's a lot of flavors of security, that are happening here. Here's the question: what's most important for securing your mobile app? So, especially if you're in the world of building apps, securing apps, especially want to hear from you. We'll leave the poll open for a bit, but is it strong auth and keys? Is it encrypting the traffic? Is it obfuscation and protecting secrets? Right. Make sure the app hasn't been modified. And I saw there was a question from someone here. Where was it? Was this from Sri? Was this iOS or APK?
This was iOS.
Okay.
I didn't explore the APK side.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it's the same back end. It probably would have worked just as well.
Right.
So I'm actually going to bring, let me bring Pierce on the stage. And while we do, I want us to have this. Thank you, Pierce, for joining us. Hey, everyone. Welcome, Pierce. We see you. And we got you loud and clear.
Hi there.
So Pierce is from Approov Mobile Security, who's making this event possible, and frankly, the whole site possible. And someone I've gotten to know really well over the last year, who's got incredible. I've learned so much from Pierce. So fire off your hardest questions at him, especially mobile app security questions. But before we dive into that, from your perspective, Vishal, how has AI changed the equation for doing the kinds of things that you did?
I mean, a couple of years ago, AI was mostly acting like a consultant. You ask it a question, it gives you an answer. So, in a lot of ways, the hackers who had to like post on a forum, wait for 2, 3 days for somebody to respond, they could get maybe an answer instantly. But still, the bar for skill was really high, considering they actually had to go implement it. But now AI has become agentic with MCPs and everything. So, for example, how I went through all of these API requests and read them one by one, figuring out, okay, how do I find the ODP field, or how do I find fields which can be IDOR or BOLA, right?
Yeah.
Now you can just connect a burp MCP and ask it, give it the context, give it the things which the proxy is recording, and just ask it, okay, what fields do you think are exploitable for BOLA?
Yeah.
And it can do a recursive try and get maybe get to like a working exploit. So it has certainly become much easier. You don't really need to have like years of skill set to identify what exactly do you need to try. You can have that offloaded to AI. I'll say the biggest thing it has brought is the scale. It helps you in sending a lot of payloads or analyzing a lot of things at once with a lot of speed, and it is accessible to everyone at this point. I mean, frontier
Yeah.
models may have some guardrails, but there are a lot of open weight obliterated models which have no guardrails at all, and you can
Yeah.
do
Well,
research like this very easily. Yeah.
we saw it with the Hugging Face incident with
Yes.
OpenAI when I think it was Hugging Face who tried to do their own investigation, and the guardrails prevented them from performing, the assessment, and so they had to go to some open weighted service. So, Pierce, let's bring you in here. You've been listening. Like, what kinds of issues are you seeing here that are front of mind?
There's so many issues, it's hard to decide where to get started. But there was something you mentioned earlier, Dan, that I wanted to double click on, which was the disconnect between security and devs and how to bridge that gap, because it's relevant to all of these threats that are going to come out with AI. Basically, um, there's a misconception here that security slows down features, slows things down, gets in the way, is a cost. I'd like to kind of flip that narrative around and look at it more of like a trusted computing kind of problem. How do we add more value? How do we add more features, more things we can do in a way that introduces minimal risk, or at least acceptable risk? That's only possible if you have a good security program in place, because this thing here, it's basically like a magic wand, except it can do more than that. I have the ability to turn the light on. I have the ability to control glucose monitors. I have the ability to control a vehicle. The only way you can do things like that is by building in some sort of trust. It's similar to like adding brakes to a car. You can only go fast because you're able to slow down when you need to. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to speed. So I think if we can get into that mindset, we might be able to help have more constructive conversations with developers, people that are building out these features, because the truth is they want users to use these features, and users aren't going to use this feature if it drains their bank account.
That's
They're
right.
just not going to. So,
Well, I mean, and we lived in a world where security was physically segregated from dev and engineering, right? Literally different groups. A lot of times they don't even know each other, don't talk to each other. And now that the exploits are at the logic level inside the app itself, it's not a network security breach, it's an application breach. Like what you did, Vishal, you inspected the application and its functionality, and so I don't see how you could separate the two. I mean,
Right.
engineering, I mean, Vishal, thoughts there?
I mean, security is a very key feature or a key area when you're developing something. I mean, I think from the very start, threat modeling should be a very key process in the SDLC. Unless you do that, it gets very difficult or costly to fix some of these problems. So I agree 100%.
Yeah. What else stood out for you, Piers?
So I'm thinking in the with the threats coming from AI, there's a couple things we need to think about. One, the barrier to entry is lower. Two, we don't even know what it's capable of yet. So building out a system or a thought process of applying zero trust to your mobile app security is going to become more important than ever. You're basically going to have to assume someone like Vishal is always going to be probing at this app. So the assumption that we can get it out there and no one's going to try to reverse it, we have a couple months to patch it, whatever, that's not really a safe place to be. The assumption should be this thing's going to be broken. It's in a hostile environment. How do we build it such that when it is broken, adversaries don't gain anything of value?
Yeah, well, riffing on that, right? So Vishal said, keep your secrets out of the device. Is that, I'm not a mobile app security expert. Is that common knowledge? I mean, are people storing secrets and keys and tokens inside devices? I mean, you'd know, Piers.
I do know. Unfortunately, yes, people do store secrets in apps on devices. It's commonly touted that that's a bad idea. I know OWASP mentions don't, hard code or have secrets in your app, but it's a difficult problem to solve. So traditionally, you might solve it by, we need these things here so we can do certain capabilities. Maybe we can lower the risk by obfuscating them. Yes, you can lower the risk, but for how long and how comfortable? And are you set up such that once that barrier is breached, you can dynamically react, or are you going to re-upload your app with new secrets? It's not necessarily, I wouldn't say that's a great approach. Now, anything I would say on that device is living in a hostile environment. An attacker has unlimited time to do whatever they want with it. They can take it offline. They can poke and prod it and bring it back online and run away with whatever they had on that device and use it. And then even worse, they can mask who they are at that point, and maybe even gain access to backend services where all the treasures are. So I would say, assume the device will be compromised, verify and continuously verify that it's a safe environment, and don't use the device or the app as that root of trust. Use something external to that.
Has the philosophy been, Pierce, historically, that I need a mobile app for my service. Let me just harden the crap out of that app, and then I've got security. But your point is the exact opposite. Like, you can't assume the device is what you, or the app is what you pushed out there. It's a tamperable object. The device could be tampered. The app could be tampered. So if your fundamental philosophy is harden the app in a world where you can't guarantee that, you're fundamentally approaching this from a flawed perspective.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think adversaries kind of have a leg up no matter what. So even with a zero trust approach, you need to bake in some kind of adaptability or future proofing, being able to update over the air in a way that can happen quickly. But the legacy sort of approach was, let's put everything we need to in the app. Let's add some kind of obfuscation. Let's add some kind of RASP. Let's add white box crypto, and we can feel like that's secure enough. We've done what we can. The issue with that is if there's not some sort of like external verification that all of these security features that you've invested in verifying they haven't been tampered with, that's putting a lot of trust in security solutions that are outside of your view, outside of your control. And you might get broken into and never know what's happening. So that's almost scarier,
Let's
that false sense of security.
I'm kind of curious, Vishal, like if the app you were testing had obfuscation or, I don't know, tamper proofing, like would that have prevented you from making progress, or would you have found other ways to get around it?
I mean, obfuscation would just delay the inevitable. It just increases the time to do analysis. But at the end of the day, when the app actually communicates with the server, you can maybe hook into that point and see what data is it exactly sending. So obfuscation will not really help. And the same goes with, certificate pinning or something like that. Because what people assume is, okay, if I pin this certificate, if somebody tries to do a man in the middle, my app will detect it or my server will detect it. It will not basically let that connection go through because it expects a certain server certificate or public key, but it's getting a different one, maybe from a man in the middle to like Bird, right? But now there are tools like Frida or Objection, which can actually do runtime hooking and remove these checks entirely. You can repackage a APK with some of these inbuilt. So even though you put SSL pinning in place, it never really takes effect. That condition itself is bypassed, right?
Yeah. What about your
Yeah.
comment about like not storing keys and so forth? Like, can you elaborate on that? Because it sounds like those would have been discoverable.
Yeah. So I'll just go back to the same 0-day principles, the very, very basic, the zero trust principles, which is you assume breach. Device is not something you own. You can't assume it is somebody's grandma who's going to run your app. You have sophisticated hackers out there who will root their phones, who will repackage APKs. So the device is not something which you can implicitly trust at this point. Your trust needs to be on the server side or somewhere outside of it, which can verify that device is legitimate, it has proper security checks in place, it has not been tampered with, to actually be able to go ahead with that transaction.
I think you pretty much described the approach that Pierce and his team do here. I know there have been some questions, Pierce, that are specific to what you all do. Maybe give us a little bit of like, you guys take a radically different approach, which is, don't assume anything on the device, right? Harden it through other mechanisms or secure it through other mechanisms. Here's a very specific question from Edward. Does Approov encrypt the traffic, secure mobile OS or certain applications? Maybe give us an idea of like your philosophical approach to securing these mobile apps.
Okay, I think to get to there, I want to kind of explain the other approaches so we can see the difference. But there's a mobile app security approach and there's an API security approach. And these two approaches have never really been coupled in a way except for that I've seen, except for when I met Approov 3 years ago. Now, the mobile app security approach has been secure this app at runtime with maybe an SDK that provides RASP features. Then you have to secure that SDK with obfuscation and tamper resistance. And there's no real API security story there. So you do secure the app quite well. But if someone doesn't even use your app to attack the APIs, then you're relying on what I would call legacy API security solutions, which do a great job of doing web app security, but can be very easily tricked by the way people can mimic how a mobile app looks and get through that way. So, the other aspect of the mobile app security traditional approach is like, if you don't secure that SDK that provides RASP, and if there's no external verification that RASP is there, you can just rip that out and run the app, and the enterprise will be none the wiser. So our philosophy is more, you do need context from the app itself to make informed API security decisions. So you do need an SDK or something on that device collecting telemetry. Then have some kind of like external source of trust that's constantly verifying there's been no tampering of that mobile app, that SDK, and everything that's happening there. Build the app such that there's no secrets in it, and there's nothing in it that if it were to get compromised locally, the attacker comes away with nothing worthwhile. The other aspect is if there's any changes while it's online, the external attester will pick up on that. And then we would, specific to Approov, there's probably other approaches if you take the attestation approach, but we just use a JWT token to verify good and bad environments that gets verified on the enterprise's backend or maybe on the edge. But the key point there is the attacker never gets any additional clues as to what's triggering the defenses, and therefore they can't restart from an area of advantage on their next go round. So basically, assume there will be a breach until you can continuously verify that this is a safe environment and have the ability to cut off access once that changes. And the last little bit is, if that fails, have the ability to update over the air because there's new and emerging threats that come out every day. With that cloud component, because you don't have to get new security policies on the device in this approach, you can do that. And then on the next attestation within less than 5 minutes, the entire user base gets the new security feature, which is really the only way you're going to be able to compete in a dynamic, fast-moving environment with AI. Now, the other point I wanted to make is that we're using this model in mobile apps in this case. There's no reason you can't use that sort of identity verification flow for AI agents or anything like that, which is where this gets really, really interesting and where maybe we'll be talking more at AI University.
There you go. It's funny, Vishal, your comment about Audis. You actually tested on a Skoda. I was thinking to myself when you mentioned that, that's not a VW, but it was the same app at the end of the day.
Yeah. So the backend infrastructure, I think, was same for all of these, at least here in India. That is where I tested. So it worked out. Yeah.
According to Daniel, you need to find a friend with a Veyron and see if it works on them. I wanted to just take a peek at the poll. In some ways, this is not really fair because you can only pick one answer. So I think people who are not ranking certain ones higher is probably their strong authentication API keys naturally near the top, right? Encrypting, you gotta encrypt, right? Down there, making sure the app and device are genuine. I'm curious, Pierce, if you have any thoughts. I don't know if you could see the poll, but what thoughts you have here from these results?
So I think your initial thought is spot on. A defense in depth approach is absolutely necessary. So coupling a couple of these together is probably the best answer.
Yeah, I mean, I can't think of any of these. Well, I don't know about obfuscation. I mean, we had a chat the other day. Is obfuscation actually harmful to security in that it can prevent other more useful forms of security?
Dan, something came up 2 days ago where I received a request for a proposal from a financial institution that said, we just got a pen test that said all of these defenses were broken, including obfuscation and some other static defenses. And then all the requirements still included obfuscation. And so I think the struggle is there's a security need, there's what the market needs, and then there's these regulations and what the market's accustomed to. And it's hard to move forward, move fast, and meet the demands and actual security needs that will prevent these sophisticated attacks when you're being held back by legacy requirements. And you're even openly admitting while you're asking for help that these legacy requirements didn't work, and yet you're asking for them again. It's the definition of insanity.
Well, I mean, go ahead, Vishal.
I mean, it may be a hot take, but I don't consider security by obscurity to be security at all.
That's a great quote there. I mean, we all took our shoes off for years, and now we don't have to take our shoes off at the security line, at least here in the States, right? It was the It was the what do we call it? Security theater.
Yeah.
It's the illusion of security. Um, we're running out of time here, Pierce. Help people understand this security assessment that you guys have published. Thank you for doing that. It's freely available for you all to go download. I've looked at it. It's a pretty cool checklist. Just walk us through what people can take advantage of there.
Yeah, so there's, I think, 2 assets that we've made available. One is a self-assessment. Again, it goes back to my comment of nothing is obvious to the uninformed. So if you don't know you have a problem, you're not going to fix it. One way to go through is just kind of run through some of the suggested tests that we have, and then make yourself aware of whether or not this is a risk you want to address. Now, the other one is a little bit more limited in the amount we can provide, but it's an automated app assessment that will provide, you provide your mobile app, either the public link or the file, and then we will run an assessment, and then we can set up a time to review the security, privacy, and other findings. And it'll point you to specifically where in the code those came up. Again, both of these assets available. Reach out if you have any questions or want some guidance on how to utilize them.
Yeah, by all means, take advantage, folks, of these great resources, and thank you to Approov and the team there for putting this together. Man, I knew the time was going to fly by here, and there's plenty more questions we didn't even get to here, but I do want to be mindful of your time, and as always, folks, we're gonna make these slides or this event replayable. So check our YouTube site soon. And then there's a question about certificate for attending. Yep, that's something we're doing here as well. So thank you all for being here. Vishal, what a fascinating journey. One last comment for you. Like, what has the last 12 months been like since did you expect the kind of reaction that your blog has gotten?
I mean, not at all. So when I wrote this blog, I was of the opinion that I should start a blog. So maybe this is a good topic to write. That was my first blog on Medium. I still did not get back to my second blog there. So I wrote it and I slept. The next morning I wake up, I see there are about 10,000 hits on this blog, which was crazy because I did not post it anywhere. And then I have all of these media outlets from all over the world, from like Germany, from Russia, China, quoting it. And yeah, I didn't expect that at all. But yeah.
Well, what you did was a real service to the community. Like a lot of people, I like to use real world examples as educational tools, not to embarrass or laugh, but to shine a light on the challenges of security and the kinds of things that can easily be done wrong that could easily be done right.
Right. And I mean, when I was looking at my Medium blog, I could see who exactly is visiting. I mean, you can see what domain referrer has brought somebody here. And a lot of it were internal domains from a lot of automotive manufacturers at that time. So it's a good opportunity to learn also. Everybody can reflect on their work and see if they have similar issues and fix it.
I can guarantee your blog got read by probably every automotive manufacturer out there. Pierce, let's wrap up here. Any parting comments that you want to share with the group?
I've been in the industry a long time, from solving the same problem with different solutions, different angles. I'm an open book if anyone wants to reach out. I'm also an active member of the New York OWASP chapter here. So if anyone goes to any of those events, sees me there, please come say hi. I'd love to hear about any of the challenges that you're facing in terms of mobile AppSec. And, if I can help, I can. If I know someone who can help, I'll make the introduction.
And there's Pierce's LinkedIn. So go find him, go hunt him down. Tremendously accessible guy with a lot of expertise and a really interesting company. I got to say, folks, I wouldn't partner with them if I didn't believe in what they do. Their zero trust approach to securing mobile apps is, to me, it just feels like the right way to go. So with that, Vishal, Pierce, thank you so much for being here. Really grateful for both of you spending time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And everyone for joining. As always, you guys make this lively and entertaining. And so thanks you all for being here. And hopefully you'll join us next week for some more MCP discussion and our MCP event in September. And stay tuned. We got a lot of cool new courses coming onto AI Security University. So with that, we'll call it a day and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.